I just had to do that.
Hey, everybody.
What's
What's
going
going
on,
on,
family?
Let me turn my mug the other way because we ain't doing no product placement for free.
You better say that.
family?
I'm with it. So looks like we kind of figured out the audio and
Yeah,
we rocking. So
yeah. It don't sound crazy tonight. So far, so good.
I know, right?
It was a
So how's
mess.
y'all? What up,
How's y'all
so?
days been?
Hey, Zoe.
So
Hi,
Man,
Manny.
what's good?
good.
Welcome
Welcome
in.
in.
What's going on, family?
So
So,
what
how was
happened?
your day?
Busy.
Oh,
So busy. So busy. I worked through half my lunch and then I still got off late. So, but then when I did leave work for lunch, I came home to prep my dinner. So I had already boiled my spaghetti noodles and my eggs for my salad, put them in a pot together, and I had it all together. So all I had to do when I got home was make my sauce and
okay.
put the rest of the salad together. But huh, a black woman's job is never done.
Ever. Yes, good. How do you make your sauce?
How do I make it? Well, today it was out of a jar. So but I added stuff to it. It was definitely jar sauce. But I had to throw that spin on it, that little razzle dazzle.
Okay.
Throw them herbs and spices all up in there.
All right.
Had to throw them spices up in there. Make it,
Saute it a little bit.
yeah. Had then my garlic and my onions, the holy trio, the
Yeah.
garlic, onion, bell pepper.
So what
What
about
about
you,
you,
Dirk?
Dirt? How was your day?
Dirk?
That was good. I hate being the guy in charge, though.
Oh,
You know what I'm saying?
what's that about?
Uh, I just got put in charge of this project, and it's cool, but it ain't cool. You know. So, but outside of that, it was a great day. Everybody fall in, play their part, do their role. Great day.
Oh,
So
So, what
what
make
make
it
it
not
not
cool?
cool?
What make it not cool? Being responsible for grown men. People calling in late. People, you know what I'm saying? Oh, I gotta leave early.
hmm.
I
Hey,
ain't got,
Shawnee Love.
so all that good stuff. What up, baby? We gonna party this weekend.
Where y'all seeing people come in at? I'm not seeing it.
You ain't got the comment section?
Yeah, my
Comments
comments
up.
up.
I
I
guess
guess
it's
it's
just
just
like
like
that.
the juice up.
Maybe not want to talk to you.
Maybe.
Bye. Now I can see it on Facebook. I'm on Facebook too because I like to watch as I'm watching.
Yeah.
Hello, Kevin Watson.
What's
What's going
going
on,
on, KW?
KW?
Much
Much
respect.
respect.
It's
It's one
one
of
of
my
my
classmates
classmates
from
from
high
high school.
school. Thanks
Thanks
for
for
hopping
hopping
on,
on.
bro.
Are
Are
you
you
still
still
in
in
Texas,
Texas,
Karen?
Karen?
I
I
was
think
wondering.
it's
I
something
heard
like
some
Select
echo.
up with
you getting a
I
bit
ain't,
of
I,
an echo again. Fat.
I ain't, I ain't got no 40 spice. Johnny, this year I was trying to wait till another milestone, but right now I'm just going
Yeah, your birthday on
low
the
key.
third, ain't it?
Yeah, Friday. Turn
Yes.
down.
Okay.
But what?
Spades at
What's
Dirt House.
right? What's the plan?
I don't have
Spades
nothing.
at Dirt.
The Twins got a basketball game Friday at 5, and then after that we was going to dinner. I told them I'd take them out to eat, so we gonna go eat. But
That's it.
that's it this year.
Yeah, buddy.
So I my
Right
thing,
on. So
man, look, it's a lot taking care of your parents.
Huh?
I
I
was
was
just
just
saying
saying
it's a
it's a
lot
lot
taking
taking
care
care
of
of
your
your
parents.
parents.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Had, had
And
What
another
song is
part
party
that?
today,
and
and the
the
appointment
appointment
lasted
lasted
longer
longer
than
than
I
I
anticipated.
anticipated.
Just
Just
took
took
everything
everything
away
away
from
from
what I
what I
planned
planned
on
on
doing.
doing.
You sounded crazy again. I don't know what happened. We was good.
I know.
Face out of
know.
like you underwater or something.
I don't know.
Dirt fine. If you say.
Wait a minute.
No, dirt is
Sound
dirt sounds good.
Yeah,
It
it
sounded
sounded
decent
decent
to
to
me.
me.
Okay. We'll rock with it. Let's go.
Yeah, I don't know.
Don't talk too fast because your words start jumbling up.
Ah,
Gotcha. So
I was just saying that it
takes a lot to take care of
parents
Hmm.
and
get to a point to where you
start
start
feeling
feeling
like
your parents,
parenting your parent.
Yep.
holy cow, holy cow.
Oh yeah.
Yep. It's called the circle of life.
So,
Like it's called the
Yeah,
circle of life.
Right on, man.
it's wild. Wow, for sure.
Yeah, buddy.
It'll be Friday. My birthday Friday. So don't be surprised if I'm gonna do it live or so.
Yeah.
Just be out there. But yeah,
No
like you
doubt
said,
about it.
it's just like for me, the circle of life. Solar system came back around one more time.
yeah,
So, you know what I'm saying? Bless our parents here. Here. So we just roll with it.
That's a blessing. Yep.
We vent with each other. But we gonna talk about that later on.
right.
Right, right.
So,
Manny said you better start spitting. You better come on here spitting some bars on your birthday. I know that's right. We need a high 16, don't we?
don't be surprised.
Real high.
We need a high 16.
Because I got another something also to tell you too, Wanda, about when I get to drinking that my wife told me. Don't let me forget. It got to do with us, our topic and everything. So
Okay.
Mm.
yeah.
All right. So, well, since you did brought it up, let's get into it.
Let's.
So
So where
tonight, so
we
Wow,
tonight,
you got it.
I like. I think tonight is gonna be. It's like it's a good conversational piece tonight. I was having a conversation with someone, and it came about how men are not allowed to be vulnerable, and I was disagreeing with him. And but I had to take a seat back. I'm like, I'm not a man, so I can't say how a man feels. So I wanted to talk to my fellas about it tonight. How do y'all feel about being vulnerable?
So shout out to my boy Isaac, mental toughness counseling. Shout out. Thanks for hopping on. I'm going to also post the link if anybody want to hop in. Feel free. So yeah, let's get into it.
All right. So basically, the title of tonight is there's no weakness in men's tears, the male vulnerability. So let's start with the question that I have. Do you guys feel like y'all are vulnerable?
To an extent.
definitely to understand.
And
So
so
To an
where?
extent. So where does your vulnerability start and where does it end?
I'll let you take that one first.
I don't know. That's a tough one right there. Where does it start for me? For me, my vulnerability, I think, will be my children. You know what I'm saying? I think that's where it starts for me. As far as like vulnerability, how I look at it, as far as like being opening up, you know what I'm saying? Like that takes a lot of time. But my kids, they hold that special bond, that place in your heart, they say. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the only thing I can be, well, not the only thing that I can be. I think that's the only thing that I am vulnerable about. As far
Mm-hmm.
as me, that's where it would begin with me. Where it would end is, I don't know. I've been in a relationship for so long. I'm married now, so I'm pretty much open to a lot of things. But when I was single, I don't think I was open to nothing with anyone. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know how to answer that one, G. That was tough. Right?
That.
So it depends on the different relationship. I see you,
We're gonna
Zoe.
get to you in a minute, though.
It depends on the relationship, right? Because there's only a certain vulnerability that I give my kids. There's only a certain vulnerability that I give a woman. And to the rest of the world, there's only a certain amount of me I'm willing to expose. So vulnerability has a different shape depending on who it's with.
Right.
Hmm.
And even with that being said, depending on the interaction with the other person, if my vulnerability is violated, I won't continue to give it. There's no discussion that's had. It's cut off if you violate that aspect.
Hmm.
So
So where does it begin with you? That's where it begins and ends with you. Okay.
absolutely.
Okay. So, okay, let's say in your relationship, do you feel like your relationship is a safe space for your vulnerability?
It's a take on it.
No, is your relationship a safe space for you to be vulnerable?
I
Put it on
gotta
the
work a little
universe.
backwards.
We gotta have some time in. I ain't talking about no months, no 2 year
Hmm.
anniversary or nothing. You know, we gotta have some time for that.
Hmm.
I don't know you like that. Who, who your mom? You know what I'm saying? So it's a whole. It takes time.
Because I honestly feel like your relationship should definitely be a safe space for you to be vulnerable, whatever the extent of vulnerability it is. Your relationship should be that safe space.
I agree, but it has to be some time. It has to be a lengthy relationship. I know.
I mean, when
Uh,
I say relationship, I don't consider like somebody that you've been talking to a few um a few weeks or maybe even a few months. I mean, when you are, I mean, a relationship is somebody that you've been through things with, you've experienced things with. You know what I'm saying?
got
Yeah.
So when I say relationship, I'm not talking about the smash and grabs. I'm not talking about that. Them don't count. I'm
okay,
talking
because
about
I was about to say shit. I could be in a relationship. I could be hitting it for months, and you think we
and
go
you're
together,
right.
and
See, no,
I got other thoughts.
that's not what I'm talking about right now.
Oh,
Okay.
So so what I did with the current relationship I'm in is I worked backwards. I came into the relationship vulnerable, and then I allowed space for failure, right? And if there was ever a cause for me to pull back, I communicate that first to make sure my perception isn't off and I'm not taking things wrong.
Hmm. Okay. So this, like I said, this conversation came along because I was talking to another individual, and so he was basically like he was with a young lady for a few months. Well, about 7 months, 7, 8 months, give or take. And he was at a breaking point in their relationship and decided to express that to her. In the midst of that, he got emotional and broke down and had tears. And from that moment on, he said the dynamic of the relationship shifted. So there was not a safe space. Am I correct to assume so?
Before I jump into that, I want to give uh, mental toughness and Zoe a chance to respond to those as well.
Okay. Am I on? One, two,
Yeah,
one,
you on.
two.
go ahead. So
Uh well, number one, thank you guys for allowing me for this space to be vulnerable. The family bloodline is for the family, and these conversations are very important. We're living in an age where we like to claim that we are, like I don't know. Like I feel like back in the day, we really were tough mentally, and nowadays, I feel like we're in a real complaining society. That being said, I found out a lot of things about being like I get emotional. Zoe Musical is an emotional being. You know, I like to be upfront with my emotions because if I don't, I bottle things up and then I snap on people in public spaces. So being patient lately has been the most important thing that I can be as a man, meaning that like a man has to be the most patient in a public setting because right away being angry or being uh snapping on people, like you see it all the time in road rages. um and I may bounce from here to there, but when I was going through the whole radiation cancer situation, uh everything was all groovy up until I realized that I was in a very close circle where like nobody gave a damn. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Uh, this was not. I mean, shout out to other people that were around me. But
Let,
cancer.
let me let me ask you something. So in that state, when you're dealing with all that, were you open to like your spouse or I mean, evidently she knew where everything was going on, but just certain things that's in your mind state. Did you open up to her about that?
I, man, we were going through the ringer. We were going through the fire of God around that time because I was going through a situation, and then we found out that my wife had a 10-pound tumor in her ovary.
Oh,
So
A lot
that
going
whole
on.
that whole year was like, do you believe in God? Well, let's see, because those are the moments where you can only walk with God, and if you are feeling emotional, the best bet is to go to Him first. Why? Because human beings are imperfect. And even my doctor said, Alonzo, I have no idea what you're going through. I have no idea how much pain you're going through. I only have read this in textbooks. I've only experienced this and as a job. But I have no idea what a radiation machine does to your neck. I have no idea what blisters all over your neck feels like. I have no idea what it's like to know hunger. I have no idea how much pain can you take. And mind you, I was going through that whole process without any pain medicine because I was scared of being addicted to pain meds. Like that was a real fear of mine. So the only thing I did was walk by the fire. And Rocky Balboa, shout out to Sly Stallone, every day Manny can testify that I watched every day the movie, and I would look in the mirror, my creator, to like let me know like, yo, this is not gonna be it. This is not the final chapter. But within that circumference, I realized that this is not a commercial you see on TV where it's like, welcome to the Cancer Society and all that. I didn't get no bell. The only thing I got was one day when I let the people know that I'm a human being. I'm not a lab rat. This is not a test. And the next day I saw security with behind the white coats. And that's when I knew that it's business. We could give a damn. Or as a teacher used to say, I could give a hoot about what you're feeling. I realized then, because I let the people know, I was like, you guys can't be like, just, can I get a high five in here? Can I get how you doing? Can I get a hug? But because we were going through COVID, the human element went out the window. And having masks around people's faces gave me nothing but just fear in people's eyes. I couldn't see no smiles. I couldn't see no hope. I wore a sweater with hope on the side to remind me that was the biggest element to get me through that process. Rocky Balboa is a very inspirational Rocky movie. And I mean, every day I would pop in the Tiger. To this day, when I hear that song, there's been situations where that song comes on and I know it's a message from the Almighty, where
All
it's
right,
like,
so
oh, I'm about to be tested.
I'm gonna pause you out right real quick and then switch over to mental toughness counseling mentoring. Swift, what you got? Good to see you, bro.
It's definitely good to see you as well, James. I haven't seen you in years. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Because I got a huge echo.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
good.
yeah,
No, you're good.
For some of you that don't know, me and James won Hoop It Up. We're champions, so we're not gonna gloss over the champions. We're champions. We won Hoop It Up.
Wait,
We we took the city over. Let's
isn't
not
that
gloss on
the
our
last
championship though.
basketball?
Yeah, we're gonna take some time to celebrate
Facts.
us for winning that championship. We weren't able to do it in high school, but we did it. We did it on the bricks. So no, I know I want to. So I definitely want to thank James. I haven't seen you in forever. Great to see you. Thank you for inviting me on. For sure, and I love this. I love this topic, and I was just blaming men not being able to be expressing themselves on Music Soul Child because he had that song "Teach Me," right? Y'all remember the song where he was like, I was where I go, I was taught the definition of a man was to never cry.
yeah.
Right. Y'all remember? Look, your favorite homegirl. Look, you know, Music Soul Child is the reason that men are being expressive. I blame him. He told us. But no,
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
no.
That was your uncle. That was your uncle in your.
Right. But no, and all it is echo. I don't know how to get rid of it. What should I do?
I got it. Not good.
I got it.
Are you watching it on YouTube or Facebook?
I'm on Facebook.
You can turn it down on Facebook.
All right. Where should I do that?
On your
Stop.
phone.
Fix it.
Just on your phone. Phone or whatever you're watching it on.
Can you hear me?
Yep, you're good.
And the echo gone?
All right. Yep.
Okay, cool. No, in all seriousness though, the definition like vulnerability is something that's really a big thing because a lot of us in our households we were taught that you don't talk about what goes on in this house, and on the streets we were taught that you don't talk about what you see, snitches get stitches, and so we've been a lot of times conditioned to hold things in. And the thing about being vulnerable or any healthy relationships require us to be vulnerable, like, and to communicate our needs. And a lot of times we were taught to hold things in. And so when you're built like that, it's hard to have healthy relationships because it's like, I'm guarded. I got this armor on trying to protect myself from being hurt, being embarrassed, being emasculated. And so I'm going to keep this armor on and try to keep everybody at a distance because we got to keep ourselves safe. I use the example all the time. If I came to your house and you had $20 on the table and I stole that $20, what would happen? And most people would be like, it's off with your head. Like, I'm never letting you come over again. Like most people, that's our immediate response, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then I say, all right, what if I like beg for forgiveness and say, hey, please forgive me. I made a mistake. It was an impulse thing. And you say, all right, Isaac, you can come back over. It's cool. But what would happen that second time I come over? You guys would be putting the jewels up in a safe. You'll be hiding them. Like, nah, hey, Isaac coming over. It'd be like Debo, right? They're like, nah, everybody be like, nah, Isaac coming over. He got some sticky fingers. But that's kind of the thing with being vulnerable. Once you've been hurt, you start trying to protect yourself. You start trying to protect your assets. And so in order to have healthy relationships, a lot of us do need to unlearn what we were kind of taught, that we gotta be vulnerable.
But here's my thing about that is you say once you've been hurt, you gotta protect yourself from being vulnerable. But wait, oh, hello? Can you
Yeah,
hear me?
we got you.
Okay.
I
just muted him so we wouldn't get the feedback.
Oh, okay. So I was just like you saying you had to protect yourself from being hurt. How do you know what to protect yourself from? Like, how do you know what hurt you? Were you vulnerable at some point and you just like, oh no, I don't like the way that feels?
Hold on, Isaac. Let me unmute you.
You good?
Yeah, I think we all experience hurt, and like research says that we develop our attachment styles by the age of 5, and so by that time we have already developing how we interact with the world. So let's say you had a mom who was a single. I don't want to. let's say that she was in a soldier, so to speak. Your mom was like, I got to protect my kids. I'm the only parent in this household. What can I do to keep my kids safe? So that mother may not be as emotionally available because she has to be in soldier mode because she's like, I got to get you, keep you safe. And so as a child, you're kind of growing up like, I got to hold this in. I just got to be a soldier and kind of fight through it because you've been kind of conditioned that way to protect yourself, to protect your peace, to protect your resources. And anybody that grew up in a major city, well, not anybody, for most of us that grew up in a city, somebody go get you at some point. Like I had my car stolen, I've been robbed and things before. And what happens after that occurs is kind of like the example if I steal the $20, we start protecting ourselves. And so I've been in relationships where I've been vulnerable to women and then they would emasculate me. And so then from there, it's like, nah, somebody say, oh, that's some punk shit. Well, I'm sorry. I don't know if I can curse on her. I'm sorry. It's 9 o'clock. It's 9 o'clock. I'm just sorry. I'm sorry.
Hey, you just made a valid point, bro. Valid point right there.
But yeah, we protect, we learn, and we grow from hurt. A lot of us. So when somebody get so it's like, nah, you got me this time. So now the next time, I'm gonna make sure I got my armor on. I'm guarded. You are not going to be able. And for relationships to be healthy, we're gonna have to take that armor off. But we also have to cultivate an environment where I feel safe. Because if I want to open up, I want to talk. But if I say something that you may not feel is deemed aggressive or masculine, then I'm gonna get like, okay, now you're trying to embarrass me. So now I'm gonna defend myself, and so what I'm gonna do. Now
So
I'm
that was
gonna
my question. All women don't. Well, it's not much a question, but all women don't value your vulnerability the same as the next woman. So it's hard for us to open up.
I mean, okay, for that, I say this. When I feel like a woman that's in a relationship with a man does want him to be vulnerable. We don't need somebody that we like. If you're not vulnerable, we're not going to be vulnerable. Like
Now,
we're a ball of emotions. So I'm gonna tell you how I feel. But when I ask you, I'm like, what are you feeling? How are you feeling? You tell me nothing. I'm cool. I'm okay. But I can clearly see that there's something wrong with you. What do I have to do to make you feel safe?
Okay, so let me throw a definition to what we're talking about, so we can make sure
we're all
on the same page, which we are, by the way. But the definition of vulnerable is susceptible to physical or emotional attack or harm, right? So when we think of it in that standpoint, in that frame of mind, when it comes to men
that's
and the societal norms that are placed on us, we learn at a young age how not to be susceptible to physical harm or even emotional damage. And a lot of times that starts at the house with the simple phrase, boys aren't supposed to cry. That's where that starts. And you could be hurt emotionally, especially because personally, emotional abuse is worse than physical abuse, because emotional abuse lasts longer, and you have to unlearn behaviors that come along and attach to those physical stimuli.
Yeah, I've only heard men say that, Miss Eugenia. Like I heard daddy say it, I heard uncle say it, I heard brother say it. You know, it's always been men. A mama has never picked her son up off the ground. Well, that I've seen or heard, picked her son up off the ground and like, boy, stop crying. You a boy, you're not supposed to cry. The mama is gonna kiss that boo boo like, it's okay, baby, it's gonna be all right.
So do you think it is more from our like Jig was saying, from our uncles or whatever, boy don't cry, our upbringing,
I do. And
or
now
do you
y'all
think it's
taking it out on y'all women.
Hold up.
but that's what I'm finna say. Or do you
And now
think it's
y'all taking
from
it out on y'all women.
I gotta
What's up, though?
I gotta say something right here. at the end of the day,
I'm gonna forget
you
it.
know, if it really comes down to, a woman does not want to be around a crybaby, a grown ass man crying all the time. And take it from me, I get emotional. Manny will testify. But I've seen throughout the years that women don't want to be the strong figure at all times. I've seen it in my own eyes when an 80-year-old got disrespected by another 80-year-old female and just basically straight up and tell them, be like, you've been weak, you've been the weaker one in the relationship. And as a man, later on in life, if you don't step up to the plate and swing to the fences and protect your family, the woman's going to resent you for it.
Yeah.
It's going to, whether you like it or not, man, eventually, that's why the patience comes in, where you are supposed to be the pillar in the family, the protector. And in today's society, where now everything's being feminized, where like
I got a question.
this whole situation where like men can't be men. That's why you see this ultra situation where like they have to be straight up lions. And then sometimes those lions are not real lions when you come and see those people and you put them through the fire. I do believe that eventually a man has to hold his emotional composure, especially in front of your female, especially when it comes to protecting your female in a public setting. Inside the house, you can be vulnerable. Outside the house, I would say bite your tongue and don't show those emotions, because it will, you know, the world is a doggy dog world. And if a man is look weak, right, only the strong survive. That is the code of the streets. Let's just be honest. You cannot be shown weakness.
It can't
Can't be
Otherwise,
friendly Bob.
yeah, otherwise they'll come and get you. And a real alpha female does not want a weak sauce man. We see it in every aspect of the culture. In music, we see it.
Let
Yes,
me
of
jump in,
course.
though.
You know what I'm
All
Let me
right,
saying?
jump
go
in.
ahead,
That's
Dirk. What
that's
you
what
got to
I
say?
that's what I
We
We
believe.
see
see
you,
you,
man.
Manny. We gonna get to
We
you in
gonna
a
get to you,
second. I
man.
got you, bro.
I just want to touch on what like you saying that lion. Like I go to work every day and do what I do, come home, do what I do with the kids and all that. What I'm gonna take it back. Just on how I move in the outside of the house. My wife be like, you a lion, you a straight, you a beast, you know what I'm saying? But when I come home, I can be a lamb too. You see what I'm saying? I can come home and I can chill with the kids, my vulnerable side. You know what I'm saying? I can chill with the kids, you know what I'm saying? The wifey, all that. I can bring everything that I did outside and inside and still be that loving current and open up to different aspects of living or just
Sure.
every day. You know what I'm saying? So
I feel that. Yeah, I mean, the lion and the lamb, but you gotta be careful where you show that emotional side, because, like I said, I've seen, we've been through put some real crazy stuff,
right,
and I've seen when women resent when the man shows that weakness, and then
Let's see
the
what
female
Manny had to
has to
say.
come up to the plate and be the alpha female. You
Manny
know,
alert,
you
easy.
just have to be
tap
Tap
careful
in,
with
in.
that. But that's what I
tap
gotta
Tap
say
on
in,
about
in,
that.
man.
tap
Tap
on
on
in.
in.
All right, Manny, what you have to say?
Well, first of all, I say this is a really dangerous topic,
It's
because
not dangerous. We're
well,
adults. We need to talk about it.
I mean it. I mean it in the way that it could touch people's fibers real quick.
that's
Just
what we
like
doing over here.
talking everything else. But I think
So
Trying to
let's set the
upset the
social
social
norm.
norm.
crying, crying, crying in an intimate setting, right? It's different from crying in a public setting. You know what I'm saying? It's
Why?
Why?
when you having, I don't know, wine in an intimate setting is different than having wine on a winery,
Sure.
Sure.
right? Because the place is different. Who you're sharing things is different. The ambience is different. So I think that society now, obviously, yeah, we live on a really patriarchy, or however you call it. It's because because the world, I can't. can see that just the country, the world has been run by men. Period. You know what I'm saying? It's been run, or at least the biggest, the most powerful, you know, I don't know, countries or whatever have been run by mainly men. But I also believe that feeling or being, not just feeling, just actually having or giving yourself the opportunity to be actually vulnerable brings you back to your childhood. You know what I'm saying? Because when you was a kid, I mean, shit, you couldn't hold your tears back if you freaking fell and peeled your knees. You know what I'm saying? But now we've been put through the ringer like a gazillion times, right? And it's just this is what's created a huge mental issue with society.
But
But
you're
you're
talking
talking
about
about
Okay.
learned behaviors.
I think a
So
lot of
when
y'all
I
just went bad relationship. Had
so
a
here's my
bad
thing.
breakup.
When I'm saying vulnerability, I'm not asking you to cry in my arms every night. That's not what I'm asking. I just want to know how you're feeling. What do you feel?
Do not cry.
No,
I
Well,
don't
man the fuck
even
up.
if you
oh, that's
no,
not.
even if you do no, even if you do cry. I mean, but that's not what I'm asking you. I'm just asking you to be honest about your feelings. I want you to be open about what you're feeling. And
Let me
Right.
ask you this, Wanda.
I want you to know that this is a safe space to do so.
Let me ask you this, Wanda. Are women able to handle masculine problems?
Yes.
So if you look at a testament to what some of these gentlemen were saying. So if you look at a masculine man and I come to you and I'm crying about my day, my problems, why I can't figure it out and what's going on, that's gonna make you feel safe, secure, or you're gonna appreciate me coming at like that. Don't none of that
Yes,
make
because I'm
sense in our
like,
realm. Don't none of that
because I'm
make sense in
like,
our realm.
I'm literally like, I'm like, oh
That's
damn,
what
this is obviously bothering him. I mean, because you don't have to be strong all the time, and that's what vulnerability is. You do not have to be strong all the time.
but
But
Let
that's
that's
me
the
be
shit.
there.
Look,
That's
when
the
I
shit,
seen
though.
when I seen grown man cry or throw a tantrum, it's super sad, right? Because I've seen grown men cry, and that's super more sad than when I see my mom's cry. I'm talking
But
about
I
real
think
shit.
the way that, and I know what you're talking about, the way you've seen men cries is really pity for games, for bullshit. We're talking about real life. So you give
listen to me.
yourself the
I went,
opportunity to actually share your emotions.
but there's two sides. There's two sides. There's a tantrum, and then there's when real broken man cries. When you see a man broken,
so
that
So
is the
we
two
give
give
me
avenues.
me a
second,
second,
so
though.
There's
Give me
two
a second,
avenues.
though, because
Mental wants to
we're gonna
come
get
in.
to that point.
we're
We're
gonna
gonna
get
get to that point.
Sorry for my
get to
language,
Isaac.
by the way.
You're
No, you
fine.
good.
let's
Let's get to Isaac because he had his hand up. He wanted to say something.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think there's a lot of different ways to be vulnerable. So for me, I was raised. I didn't have much financial literacy when I was growing up. We were in survival mode, so we never knew like if we were going to be here long term, And so I didn't grow up with financial literacy. So when I met my wife, who grew up with financial literacy and who's better with money with me, I had to be vulnerable. It was difficult because
Yes.
all the male stereotypes and tropes was a man is supposed to be provide and have all this money and do all this. And so having to be vulnerable to my wife and say, I need your assistance on this. Help me grow in this area. It was very difficult for me because of all those tropes that men are told that I'm less than if I'm not running my household financially. And it's like, if I didn't have the financial literacy, if I never learned this, if I'd been in survival mode, as soon as I get it, I'm spending it. Where she's like, no, we need to be saving, we need to be having life. And she's telling me this. If I hold on to my pride, then we not gonna grow together. So I had to be vulnerable with her financially because it allowed me the opportunity to grow together. Because if this my wife and this my partner, then yeah, I should be able to open the books and say, look, this is what my credit score is. And it's embarrassing at the time, but it's like we about to buy a house and we starting a life. I'm gonna have to take some of that armor off and be vulnerable. So vulnerability is not just letting your emotions out, but it's also financially. And when you think about just safety requires us to be vulnerable. I look to my wife to keep me safe, maybe not physically, but I'm gonna give you an example. Me and my wife was at a jazz club and we listening to jazz or what have you. And so when I go to the restroom and I come back and we about to leave and then we get in the car and she's like, "Oh, as soon as you left, the jazz owner came over and was hitting on me and trying to flirt with me or whatever." So I'm like, "All right, let me go ahead and spin the block and go back." And she's like, "Nah, baby." She's like, "That's why I didn't tell you while we was in there, because I know it's still difficult for you to sometimes take that armor off." My wife is attractive, so of course people go shoot they shot. But in that moment, if she would have told me inside that jazz club, I would have been like, "Okay, I got to get active," because I feel like that's disrespectful. I still feel like it's disrespectful. I still sometimes want to drive
First
by
and
the jazz
foremost.
spot. You know what I'm saying?
And that's just ego.
That's a
That's
real,
ego.
First and
those are
foremost.
real feelings. But I gotta be an adult, and part of that being a man is, if I go in there and lay hands on him, I sacrifice my wife. I sacrifice my kids because
Right.
of my
Time,
ego. Because
money,
he trying
all
to
that
shoot
good
a shot,
stuff.
and it's okay. He can't get any farther than my wife lets him. And even when we think about that Jada and Will Smith situation, and look, I'm just like, I just feel like people everybody should keep each other safe. So my wife, I would never accept her to step in front of me. If James was about to beat me up, I wouldn't want my wife to be like, "No, James." I'm like, "No, of course. No, you don't step in front of that." But she can keep me safe
He's
in
a
other
violent
ways.
person, bro. So
My husband
understand.
got one that's gonna jump in. I'm gonna jump in. I don't care what you say. I'm
No,
jumping
your
in.
favorite.
I'm jumping in.
I'm just
I
saying
mean,
it's
he
just
might be
different.
mad at me later, but we gonna get this one.
So Isaac, let me ask you this.
Mhm.
So do you think it's more from the upbringing, like I was saying earlier, like you were saying, like your your father figure's telling you this ain't, you know what I'm saying, don't cry, don't do this and that, or was it from a bad breakup that we hold that against women?
I think all of our everything that we've been through kind of makes us who we are, but it doesn't have to define us. So yeah, I understand why my brothers and they used to punch on me and try to make me tougher, because I wasn't growing up in an aggressive environment. It was not. I had to go outside. Like you had to go outside back when I was young. You could like so they had to help me with that or what have you. But the thing about growing up, it's kind of like I haven't fought in years, but I still got them tools if I need it. So I just try to add different tools to my tool belt, because I know if if my only tool is a hammer, then everything's gonna look like a nail. And it's like you can't bring a hammer to everything that you're trying to fix. And so I know I still need to work on myself and still need to grow, because all those years, all that stuff is still instilled in me, but it doesn't have to define me. And so even in that moment when my wife thankfully kept me safe, it's still a point of I have to sit back. We laugh about it now, but it's like, yeah, in that moment she kept me safe. She kept our family safe with that. So yes, women have hurt me. Yes, women have betrayed me. Yes, I've betrayed myself in relationships. And so I want to be protected. And it is still hard to be 100% vulnerable to my wife, because I've been hurt, but in order for us to grow, I gotta still
I like you, Jay.
work on myself and say, you know what, if I'm gonna be all in, then I need to be all in, and that means to be vulnerable. And so I still feel weird when I cry around her. I still be like, oh, my allergies, I still do some silly, oh my God, I'm out of here, right? I still got that. It's still hard for me just to be like, because I've been conditioned not to it. And I remember growing up how they used to say, you're a homosexual if you cry, or you soft, or things like that. These used to be the tropes that we heard growing up, a lot of us. And it was like, this doesn't make me be attracted to men because I have feelings. I am a human. That's why I'm crying, because I'm hurt and I'm allowed to. This doesn't make me want to date the same race. This just means that I'm hurt. And sometimes
But let me ask you this: around that circumference, you gotta be around love, and if you're not around love, then that's what makes it difficult. Because if you show that vulnerability side, and you're not around a space that's loving, it backfires automatically, right? Because the world's not like that. And I can tell you right off the bat that when love was personified on Earth by a human being, they took him out, and he was probably the most vulnerable person, as far as I know, of an example. What is a man to be? A man is to be full of love and grace, and patience, and it's love perseveres ultimately, right? Because if you're around a space that's very hard, like the world, uh, there's not a lot of space for man to be vulnerable. There really isn't. As far as if that were true, then the inner cities would be full of love, which it isn't. And I'm talking about my city, and that's my point right there.
So let me
So my
just
my
address
thing
something
is
real quick. Go
okay.
ahead, Wanda. You got it. You got it.
No,
You got
I
it.
was just gonna say that vulnerability isn't just about sharing your sorrows; it's about sharing your joys as well. Like if you're happy about something and you cry from happy tears, I want to be a part of that too. That's a sign of vulnerability to me. That you feel safe enough to. It's okay to be happy as a man. It's okay to have joy as a man.
But
But
again,
again, we're
we're talking
talking
about
about
learned
learned behaviors.
behaviors. Because
Because
if
if
you
you
express
express
your
your
happiness
happiness
too
too
much
much
or
or
too
too
far
far
in
in
front of
front of
people,
people,
well,
well,
then
then
you're
you
the
the
friendly
friendly
vibe.
vibe,
And
and
now
now
you
you
got
got
sharks
sharks
hovering
hovering
in the
in the
waters,
waters,
in the
in the
deep
deep
still
still
waters,
waters,
because they
because they
smell
smell
blood.
blood.
But let
But
me
let me
go
go
back a
back a
few
few
steps
steps
and
and
just
just when
when you
you
talk
talk
about
about a
patriarchal
patriarchal
society,
society,
it
it
always
always
reminds
reminds
me of
me of
James
James
Brown's
Brown's
song,
song,
"This is
This
a
is a
Man's
Man's
World."
World.
But it
But it
wouldn't
wouldn't
be
be
nothing
nothing
without a
without a
little
little
girl.
girl.
So
So
a
a
lot of
lot
the
of the
things that
things that
we
we
do
do
are
are
driven
driven
off
off
of
of
securing
securing
a
a
partner,
partner,
right?
right?
A
A
lot
lot
of
of the
stuff
stuff
that we
that we
do
do
is
is
driven
driven
off of
off of
securing a
securing a
partner.
partner.
And
And
if
if
you are
you are
looked
looked
at
at
or
or
deemed
deemed
the
the
weakest
weakest
in
in
a
a
pack of
pack of
lions,
lions,
well, you're
you're
going to
going
get
to get
picked
picked
last
last
if you
if you
get
get
picked at
picked at
all
all,
because you
because you
don't
don't
provide
provide
a
a
certain
certain
stability
stability
outwardly,
outwardly,
perceptually.
perceptionally.
Y'all
So,
are not
so let,
lions. Y'all are human beings.
no,
That's
I'm
why
just
I'm
y'all
just
giving
keep
giving
you
that
an
as
using
an
this.
example.
I
I don't
wasn't
I
disagree
speaking.
with you.
understand. Y'all keep using this lion analogy.
Fine, we
We are
dogs.
freaking human beings. No, you're not an animal. No, you're a human being, which means you can articulate how you feel.
I
You
got
know,
I got one last
I feel you,
question.
Wanda. No, I mean it's just a very difficult thing. Look, I'm a cancer survivor, and I was walking around a hospital. Even the old men didn't cry, and they're facing death, right? So that space, I would love for people to be like that, but we live in a world full of a lot of shady situations, and as a man, as a protector, as a family man, you have to be wary. And the lion metaphor is used upon that, hey, you want to be a king, you want to be respected like a king. You don't want to be looked like a chump. That's just like a chump, like a
Percent.
chump,
Right.
and it goes like this real quick. The whole the script flips real quick if you're not around people that love you. Yes, you can be vulnerable, but be careful what setting you're showing that vulnerable side, because it's a dog eat dog world at the end of the day. Yes, of course I would want to be like, look, I just got a brand new whip, but the haters are gonna be like, look at this chump over here being happy. I'm broke. Why is he all happy? People hate real quick. And you have to be mindful.
Right.
And in the hood, you can't be like, "What's up? Look at me. Look at my brand new boots. Look at my brand new car." What happens then? Then you
Click, click,
All
become
right,
a
hold on,
target.
Zoe. Hold on, Zoe. What is it that you wanted to say, Shawnee?
Go ahead.
Um, I just wanted to get on real quick and talk about the boys and their upbringing since I have
Hi,
all boys.
baby.
Hey, I do tell them, like if they cry or something like that, I do tell them boys don't cry, big boys don't cry. And I say that because certain things I want them to kind of suck it up. I don't want them to be shown. I don't want them to show their weakness in certain places because of where we live at. So yeah, inside the house, I do teach them big boys don't cry. You can suck that up. You don't need to cry about that. That's something, you take that L in silence and you keep it moving. Cause it's a lot more W's that you're gonna get. So I do teach them and I do say that a lot. But I don't say it in a negative way and I don't push that negativity on them because I still teach them to be vulnerable. It is okay to be vulnerable because you're supposed to be. Vulnerability is not weakness, it's actually a strength in him
Exactly.
regardless. So
Yeah.
Yeah, but
but
We
because
only cried
everybody
about.
is judgmental, because people are so judgmental, they other people take the word vulnerability or they see vulnerability as a weakness. And so if you're teaching vulnerability to boys to grow up to be men and show them the right way on how to be vulnerable or when it's a great time to be vulnerable, then they understand. So when they're in certain relationships, like you said about the person that brought this topic up to you, like that girl, the girl or whatever, she don't even know who herself is.
Basically,
She doesn't know
basically,
who she is because she didn't know how to react to that type of vulnerability. So she didn't
yeah.
know who she was. So that's why he started getting a different reaction from her because she doesn't know who she is. She didn't know how to respond to that. And that's
Hmm.
okay. And being vulnerable, she could have been vulnerable back and replied to that and said, I don't know how to react to this. This isn't what I'm
Hmm.
used to. But people don't know how to talk and say things like
That's
that.
very true. That is very
and
true.
that's
So,
so
that's
that's
what
what I was
give
about
her
to
a
actually
round of
point out.
applause. That's my daughter, man. Give her a round of
Yeah,
applause. That's
that's
what.
little cuz. Oh,
Right.
facts, cuz.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
Rounds of
Rounds of
applause.
applause all day.
Mr. Watson, what you got for it?
I think it's a great conversation. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
we got you.
All right. I think it's a great conversation to have. I think it's a
Hold on, Kev.
conversation.
Hold on, Kev. I just want to point something out real quick. Another PCH alum. Right on.
For
Let's rock.
sure.
Hey, no, wait. I went to a Spirit of Excellence for my son last night. Jameer, he got a Spirit of Excellence award, and there was a whole Parkway School District event. Wanda, you heard me?
We
So,
everywhere.
Rounds
We
of
everywhere.
applause for little
Yeah,
cuz, man.
Anyway, didn't mean to interrupt.
I
Go
like
ahead.
No problem.
Rockwood is the Peabody's these days schools right now. So
All
yeah.
right, Kev, my bad. What you got? What you got?
So I would just say this, a lot of the
Okay.
conversations we're having right now is something important that we need to have more, especially in our culture, because we don't talk about it. It's more of a recent talking point versus something that's been ingrained in our establishment as a culture in general. But I'll say this one thing I've had to learn as a parent. I have my youngest child is 16. She's a daughter. And I was raised that male or female, you have to be tough. You have to be hard to grow up in the environments that we grew up in. And you can't really show weakness in general. Whether if it was my sister, my cousin, whoever it was, it doesn't even matter.
Mm,
However, these kids are growing up different than how do we grow raised. I can tell you right now, I wish I had half of what my daughter has growing up.
Hmm.
So, and she's an athlete as well. And I've had times where I'm like, hey, stop being soft, stop being weak. And I didn't understand how mentally that weighs on a kid. And as she gets older and I allow her freedom to speak her mind, and she's like, well, Dad, I didn't grow up the way you grew up. I'm not weak. Do you think I'm soft? And stuff like that. So sometimes we have to reprogram ourselves to
correct.
understand that, hey, even though we might have made it out of it, our circumstances were completely different than what our kids are growing up in. So we have to be mindful of that and adjust our approach and our parenting skills.
why do
Wanda,
you
you
have
had your
to?
hand up.
No, I'm just saying. I just like you said, like the kids and stuff got everything way more than we had when we were growing up and all that. And I think now, I think it's okay to be. They take it as okay to be because everybody want to talk about their feelings now. But I'm talking about the men in our generation and above. So, but they
But
want to
as
dress out
men,
here.
the way that we are as men, we kind of push that off on our loved ones, the people close to us. So if we haven't dealt with things internally, or we haven't adjusted the way that we approach life as a man, it affects the people around us. It affects our partners. It affects our children. It affects our close friends. So I
Yeah.
think that's an important aspect of it as well. We have to get down to the root of why we are the way that we are, because the way that we are rolls off of other people around us.
So the moment that you feel like y'all, I'm guessing like the moment that you cry around your significant other or anything, the dynamic of the relationship don't change. Is that what y'all fear?
I think that's a
So
possibility. It's definitely
There's
a
a
possibility.
possibility,
and
and
that's
that's the problem
yeah, because
because
learned
learned
behaviors
behaviors
have
have
shown
shown and taught us
that
that
when
when
we've
we've
expressed
expressed
our
our
vulnerabilities,
vulnerabilities,
they've
they've
been
been
taken
taken
advantage
advantage
of.
of.
And
And
I
I
gave
gave
an
an
example
example
last
last
night
night
when we
when we
were
were
having
having our
a
meeting.
uh, let's
Let's
just
just
say
say
your
your
woman
woman
was
was
like,
like,
or
or
your
your
partner
partner
was
was
like,
like,
hey,
"Hey,
I
I
need
need
you
you
to
to
take
take
the
the
trash
trash
out.
out."
And you
You
was
was
like,
like,
well,
"Well,
give
give
me a
me a
second, I'm
second. I'm
gonna
gonna
take
take
it
it
out.
out in a minute."
5 years
5 years
later,
later,
that
that
night
night
that
that
you
you
didn't
didn't
take
take
the
the
trash
trash
out
out
because
because
you
you
were
were
doing
doing
something
something
else
else
comes
comes
up
up
in
in
conversation,
conversation,
and
and
it's
it's
used
used
and
and
weaponized
weaponized
against
against
us.
us.
And that's
That's
the
the
point
point
of
of
closure
closure
of,
of,
okay,
okay,
you
you
know
know
what?
what?
I'll
I'll
never
never
let
let
you
you
get
get
that
that
up
up
on
on
me
me
again.
again.
Because
Well, to that I say this: you should have took out the trash when I told. No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
But that becomes a bit of a point of what I'm saying,
because
because
when
when
we
we
show,
show,
so
so
first
first
off,
off,
let
let
me
me
throw
throw
this
this
out
out
there.
here.
Like
Like
weakness
weakness
and
and
vulnerability
vulnerability
are
are
not
not
synonymous.
synonymous.
They
They
are
are
not.
not.
And
And
I've
I've
learned
learned
They
that.
all often put into the same situation though. Like,
well,
Well,
that's
that's
because
because
it's a
it's a
learned
learned
behavior,
behavior,
and
and
we
we
have
have
to
to
figure
figure
out
out
how
how
to
to
separate
separate
those
those
two.
two.
Weakness
Weakness
is
is
not
not
synonymous
synonymous
with
with
vulnerability.
vulnerability.
And
And
Maya
Maya
said
said
it
it
earlier.
earlier.
They're
They're
not,
not
they're
they're
not
not
the
the
same
same
thing.
thing.
But
But
we've
we've
been
been
conditioned
conditioned
and
and
taught
taught
that
that
they
they
are,
are,
unfortunately.
unfortunately.
I
And
have
And
a
not
not
just
just
question.
that,
that,
We
but
set in
we've
our
had
ways, and not all
I have a
old dogs can
question.
be taught new tricks. You see what I'm saying? So
I, I got a question for all
hmm.
y'all, and this is gonna really put this question to the test. How do you guys feel, men or women, when you see abuse going on? How do you react when we're talking about integrity and we're talking about, we brought us the subject of what a lion does and how a lion reacts in an environment, but
but
how
that's what
how
the
do
women's speaking about.
because
They
I've seen women act more like lions than men sometimes, and they're the first ones to test out a wrong, and
in today's society,
they'll defend like
I
a
see that.
mama bear. Don't nobody want to mess with mama bear. You know what I'm saying? And so, how do you react when that stuff is going on? When you see a real abuse, do you step up to
so
the plate, or do you keep it moving? Kind of like
can
the Good Samaritan.
That's
let
what
me
the
let me
women's.
ask
let me
let me
ask
ask
this.
this.
Can
Can
we
we
table
table
that
that
question?
question?
Because
Because
I
I
think
think
that
that
would
would
actually
actually
end
end
up
up
taking
taking
us
us
off
off
of
of
what
what
we're
we're
talking
talking
about.
about.
Because
Because
we're
we're
talking
talking
about
about
an
an
external
external
threat
threat
or
or
perceived
perceived
threat
threat
of
of
somebody
somebody
that
that
you
you
might
might
have
have
to
to
step
step
in
in
the
the
gap
gap
and
and
protect.
protect.
So
So
now
now
we're
we're
talking
talking
about
about
a
a
different
different
aspect,
aspect,
a
a
different
different
dimension
dimension
of
of
manhood,
manhood,
not
not
necessarily
necessarily
vulnerability.
vulnerability.
Right.
So
So
if
if
we
we
can,
can,
we'll
we'll
take
take
note.
note.
We'll
We'll
take
take
note,
note,
and
and we'll
table
table
that
that a
a little
little
bit
bit
for
for
another
another
discussion.
discussion.
But
But
yeah,
yeah,
I
I
do
do
you
you
unmute
unmuted.
what
What
you
you
got?
got?
Ditto.
So if you think about the movie Boys in the Hood, who would you all say was one of the strongest characters in the movie? Trey,
Trey.
Doughboy, or no, like who would you guys say? Because I know who I think, but I want to hear your opinion. Who was one of the strongest characters in the movie Boys in the Hood? And let me.
Ricky.
Trey was.
Ricky was
Okay,
the strongest character.
you said who?
I'm gonna go with Trey's
Ricky.
father.
Okay,
Trey's
Fury
Ricky
Styles.
father.
had a way out the hood. You know what I'm saying? Based off his ability. Ricky. I'm gonna leave it at
You
that.
going with Ricky?
Or Ricky.
Jig
Trey.
says the dad. I don't know what's your
It's
name.
Wanda.
Taquana says
Man,
Trey.
it's been a long minute since I seen it. But the dad was the real alpha there. That was the one that
Going
set the
spit firm.
precedence.
Right.
Yeah.
And so And so one of the reasons I asked that question, because when you think about vulnerability and when you think about Trey, first of all, Trey had a sawed-off shotgun pointed at his head by those gang members when he's walking across the street.
He was doing this in the crib.
So you think about that situation. Then Trey gets, he's living in the hood. They up at Crenshaw, they start shooting. So he got all this stuff going on, and then he get the police put the Glock, put the 380 to his chin and talking about some whatever. So he goes back to Nina's house and he's just like, he let all them emotions out. Like, bro, like, I'm just tired. Dude start airboxing up. He's like, I can't stand. Bring them all on. Bring them on. Like, bro. I was like, dang. And then what did he do after he got finished crying? He was like, I ain't supposed to be crying in front of a female. That was real emotions. Like, oh my God. And then he had to, so all of that, he was vulnerable to her. He let his guard down or what have you. And then after they shot Ricky, he in the car, and he like, man, I'm not built for being a killer. I'm not built for this. Let me off the car. That was a strong character.
He was soft, bro.
I'm just talking. So as far as we could talk, I just feel like that's the definition of being vulnerable and how he let all that out, unpacked some of that armor, and was vulnerable to his girl. Like I'm dealing with. He had all that stuff, and that's what a lot of us do. We hold all of this life. It's difficult being in America, just in general as a black person. We have different struggles, black men and black women, yeah. And so
but Ricky had a baby. He was doing it with his baby mama, going to school, trying to get these. You need to reevaluate that.
I got you. But just in terms of vulnerability, okay, I guess who's the most vulnerable? I guess was a better way to. I should have worded it better. Who's the most vulnerable in the movie? I think we probably all agree that Trey let his guard down in order to show a side to his girl that he had all that exterior on. It wasn't easy growing up in Crenshaw or South Central Los Angeles, wherever they was. And so he let that guard down, and she let him in. Like, she was like, they gave each other their hearts in that moment.
Hey, Kevin, I see you over there. I ain't the only one feeling the same way. You got some comments.
What's going on, Manny? What you have to say?
Hey,
Well,
yeah.
Go ahead, Kev.
Oh, is it two Kevins?
No, that's you. Go ahead.
No, I'm just agreeing with what's going on. I'm definitely team Furious for the most strongest, but as I do agree with Isaac, you know what I'm saying, that Trey was the more vulnerable. But those are two different lanes. So like, I agree with those characters in those different lanes.
That was a trick question. But
Oh my God. What's up, Manny?
Well, I guess going back a little bit into, distinguishing vulnerability in a man. Well, Jay, I guess he'll relate more. I don't know if Kev or I don't know your name, been in the military, but there's something that's always been told to a soldier that at least in my career created a toll in my stability, which was to suck it up and drive on.
Yep.
Right? When they said, mind you, obviously, when you become a soldier, you are being trained to be the defender and an assassin in reality, because you are always a soldier first, no matter what your job is behind it, right? So this status, right, of putting yourself in a vulnerable position, and then you putting yourself in your mind, suck it up and drive on, right? So, and this goes both ways, right? Female and male, because we don't see sex on people. We just soldiers, right? But how have we seen that the attitude of some leadership pushing and shoving this down people's throat without actually having the concern of taking care of that man or women directly has actually really affected them? And you just put a patch on it by saying suck it up and drive on. It's like, oh no, you have a headache, drink water. No, that's not the cure. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes as humans, right? Because in reality, vulnerability it's an animal instinct. You know, it's something that affects, because if an animal becomes vulnerable and then catches himself off guard, he's gonna be in danger, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's an animal instinct for humans being to be vulnerable as well, because they'd be like, oh shit, wait, they're gonna see me this way, or I'm gonna be in danger if I'm actually become myself vulnerable. Now, like I was saying before I cut off, because my wife came in and she said there was aliens in the skies or whatever. I don't know. I'll tell y'all later. It's the space what actually you pick where to actually become vulnerable.
Absolutely.
It's the ambience. That's all it is. You can actually become vulnerable being on a public environment. But it also depends, because if you go to a hospital, like, obviously they were being incompassionate with Zoe when he went through his
Yeah,
cancer
but
situation.
but I was like,
listen.
What's up now?
And that's not that's the thing, because Zoe's a character. Y'all know him. He's a character, and he built himself to actually try not to be beaten down. Right? I'm saying. So I understand Zoe. You know what I'm saying? But the public doesn't know Zoe. So when you see yourself putting yourself in a vulnerable position, then you think that they're disrespecting you, and that might or might not be the case. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The truth is, I would love to put people in headlocks. That's the real side that I enjoy, especially when they want to test me. But we can't do that as grown folks. That's what we got lawyers for. And I've learned to fight the world in a different format, a double-edged sword, yes, a sharp tongue. But mind you, Manny is always right. Mr. I told you so, and I love this man because, the moral of the story is real men do cry.
No, that's true. And like I don't know which one was saying before that opening up to their spouses on their finances, right? That's something that I could relate totally, because of financial stability, it's something that is not taught, right, to people. So becoming
let them get
go ahead.
They was trying to share something.
Yeah, let's get it in.
Oh, sorry. What was
Oh,
that?
my bad, man.
Oh, so no, actually opening up to your spouse, right, and to something that has been basically almost like a treasure, right, that you don't want to discuss your financials. I was that person, and every time I had to tell my wife about something, it was like, man, like something inside was cringing, and it was like, man, I feel like it's killing me almost. I was like, man, this is embarrassing.
So you mean to tell me that you are willing to get your car repoed rather than say, babe, I'm a couple months behind on my doggone car?
So there's limits to that.
Can you help me out?
I mean, if you are a smart person, let's say, if you're smart, right, you're gonna come to your senses. You're gonna come into your senses and be like, fuck, I need help. You know what I'm saying?
So as men, do we live in a facade?
We
don't want to ask.
Yeah, this is not the Lifetime channel. This is not the Lifetime channel. You will get your ass whooped by your wifey if the car gets repoed.
I'm just saying, like in that situation with Manny, where he didn't want to ask.
Jay, my wife. Zoe, my wife. My wife is tough. She tough as now. I don't care whatever they say. She is hella tough, and I'll be scared of hell if she gets mad at me one day and really try to choke me out, because obviously she's taller than me. But at the same time, she had that other knowledge that I didn't know about finances. And when my like, for example, I'll give you the pure example right now. My car broke down last September. I was screwed. I was like, oh shit, what the fuck am I gonna do? I need a new car because I can't walk to work, So I ended up getting a
Long
car.
ass walk.
Yeah, I ended up getting a car that I wanted, and she was like, "Well, that's too expensive for you to pay. That means that if you're gonna want that car, I'm gonna manage your finances." And I was like, "Oh shit, do I really want?" Look at this. Even at that moment, me having a necessity, it became to my mind. It's like, do I really need this truck, or do I really want this? You know what I'm saying? Because I was a little hesitant to free up my finances. But then again, I become to my senses and be like, you know what? The hell with it. You manage everything in the finances, and guess what? She's been able to get me digged out of the hole. You know what I'm saying? Because we are
I
not
hear
enough.
a lot of financial vulnerability in relationships. Like, why are finances?
Because a marriage is a business. Marriage is a business.
Hold on, because clearly we got to have a part 2 of this, right?
We do.
Because
We're already an
having
hour
our
and 12 minutes in.
Part 2 is coming up. Yo, this show
Oh,
is
I don't
man.
I don't want to dipset without, because I asked Kevin to come on so he could share what happened this past weekend. Then we got to start wrapping it up after that.
We'll do the part 2. Let's go.
Sure. Okay. So this past weekend, I went out with my family and friends down here in Texas. Had a great time. Had too much of a great time. You know, I ended up messing my knee up, but that's another story. You know, I'm kind of competitive, so me and one of my friends down here was playing football at the start in the middle of the night for no reason. But long story short, as we're going to the parking lot to leave, we're all leaving. Now, mind you, it's adults and it's kids because initially started off a family gathering. I see some commotion with some of the people in our party, and I thought it was my stepdaughter. My stepdaughter's 28, but I raised her since she was 8. So as I,
That's your daughter.
yeah, that's my daughter. She calls me dad. That's my daughter. I go over there. I'm thinking that she's involved in the altercation because she's around. And somebody's yelling, "Hey, the guy has a gun! The guy has a gun!" Normally, my stepdaughter carries a gun on her. She was in law enforcement. Well, she still is in law enforcement. And normally I have my own as well. But I walked up on the car before I was known that the guy had a gun, and I could have got shot. Or if I would have had my weapon on me, I could have easily shot this person as well. And who it would have been a toss up of who was right and who was wrong. But for me, the way that I was raised, if it's my family, I'm going to crash out about them. Especially if it's my kids, if it's my fiance, like, hey, whatever we got to deal with, I'm gonna deal with how we got to deal with it. Yeah, so luckily it didn't go to that extent, but it could have easily went that way. I feel like it was the area that we were in. We were in the Dallas Start. That's a heavily police protected, nice area down here to where literally nothing happens up there.
Get back
But had
to the
I been somewhere
environment.
else, had I been another environment, it would have been a totally different way. But I'm just saying, as a man, I was always raised to be a protector, and I'm going to protect mine, at all costs. But that situation goes back to what Isaac said in reference to, was his wife not telling him in that moment. In that moment, anything happens when there's family involved. I'm there with my fiance, my daughter's there. So as a man, hey, sometimes we're gonna run into that wall, be it right or be it wrong, if we think that, our protection of our family members are, at play at all.
So we I think this might end up being more than just a 2-part series, quite honestly. I think this is going to be a continuation.
I ain't vulnerable.
Stop it, Dirk. Stop it. Stop it.
So I have a question before. I have a question.
That's
for
the
all
boss
the
right
well,
there.
not
That's
really
right. That's the boss.
Not
don't,
really.
Don't let nobody
question.
show up late, bro. They fire right off the bat if they show up late. You feel me? Because once one person shows up late, everybody's showing up late. So the boss got to do what the boss got to do.
I can't wait to come up. Go ahead, Wanda.
I'm gonna, since we're about to end everything, I just want to say this is a safe space. Is there anything anybody want to share? Let's get this conversation got anywhere.
I'm going to ask everybody to plug themselves real quick. You got free advertising right now. I'm putting it on all of our platforms. So whatever you do,
plug
plug
yourself,
yourself,
put
put
your
your
link
link
in
in
the
the
comments
comments
so
so
everybody
everybody
can
can
find
find
you
you
and
and
follow
follow
you
you
as
as
well.
well.
You just
Like
messed
that.
up my moment, and I'm finna vulnerability chin check you.
For sure.
So go.
You just dipped
Dipped
on
on
us.
it.
One
Right
last
there.
question.
Yep.
Do y'all feel comfortable? As all men, do we feel comfortable?
SunValleyGreens.com, baby. Oh, sorry, my bad.
I mean, do your thing, baby. Go ahead.
Oh, so right now, I want to just thank everybody for this space once again. The Family Bloodline is about family business, and everything you've seen here is based off real life situations. So it is definitely the most entertaining and true life story. With that being said, Zoe Musical is going after the PGA Professional Seal, and that's right, real Tiger Woods, a Mexican.
One
Is gonna
time
get
for the
involved
one
with the
time.
yeah, you know what I mean. And just for the PGA store that asked me if I had money, yeah, we get Skrilla because that happened to me. I cannot believe it. The first question that I asked was, "Hey, what is it to get my clubs fitted?" And this guy said, "Do you have money?" He brought it back to 1963 for a second, and I felt like Jackie Robinson. So I'm gonna do it for the kids. I got 25 years in golf profession, and everybody knows Zoe Musical is a real tiger when it comes to the greens. And that, with that being said, SunValleyGreens.com, baby.
Facts.
Do your thing, big dog.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
what
you
you
got
got?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, so I put my social media handles like in the chat box, but I'm also dropping an album March 10th called Hustle and Network. It's been a long time coming. I've been working on this project for at least about a year and a half, and
Okay.
I'm looking forward to the like the feedback that I receive. I take good and bad feedback. A lot of artists be afraid for something negative, but hey, we can always get better. But I'm sure this is a grown folk album. And I see grown folk. You know what I'm saying? Because everything nowadays, I can't listen to all the music out nowadays.
Oh,
I'd
I
rather
better
ride
say
in
that.
silence sometimes or
Well,
listen
Right.
to the radio.
What you said? Right.
So, I hope everyone like it. You know what I'm saying? Please, check it out and get opportunity. And again, if you got any feedback after you do listen to it, let me know. I look forward to it.
right
All
on.
right.
Man,
Anna, you muted.
He know.
all
All
right.
right.
I,
All right, so what you got?
because
Because I've been wanting to collab with you for a minute, man.
He muted also.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
you
got
got
to
to
take
take
yourself
yourself
off
off
mute.
mute.
Let me
Let
see
me
if
see
I
if
can
I can
take
take
that.
it off mute.
Gotcha.
Gotcha.
Mm.
We can't see that, man.
Who? Who? He, oh,
Oh, yep.
gotcha. Oh, who's it on me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Cool. I'm having all kind of technical
That's
difficulties.
all
All
right.
right, I got you. I got you. I got you.
No, I appreciate you all having me on. I definitely love the topics. It's definitely great to see you again, James, and connect with you. Definitely hope that no man, you've been rapping, so I hope that March Madness you definitely able to stop through so we can watch
Yeah,
the
Yeah,
games,
for sure.
make it happen. But no, like I said, I'm a licensed therapist, so I'm still seeing clients. I also have a podcast called Maintaining Sanity Podcast. So I'll drop that handle in the chat box as well. I'm also a licensed therapist, so I have some openings. My therapist practice called mental toughness counseling and mentoring, and so yeah, definitely check me out. I definitely plan on continue to collab with James. Definitely glad that we've been able to connect, and I appreciate you all having me on. I love sharing these type of conversations. It's definitely needed having dialogue, especially in our community.
Right.
So no, I'm just glad. Thank you for having me, and I'm just glad to meet you all. I look forward to seeing you guys.
What if I got a problem, bro?
Yeah, we all got a lot of problems, bro. So I'm gonna be here to help you navigate through it for sure, for sure.
Gotcha. Much appreciated.
Appreciate you as well, man. Y'all take it easy.
For sure.
Sure.
All right.
We're
We're
going
gonna
to
link up though. We're gonna link up.
For sure, for sure.
Manny, what you got?
Plug
Plug it.
As always, man, I love every topic you guys bring in here. When I get the opportunity and I fixed the pop-ups now. I get your notification because I was missing y'all's notification for a minute.
Get them pop-ups. like and subscribe.
Yes. And I blasted like 400 people today, inviting them to see the show. I know a couple of them actually um, um, hit that interest button, and that's always it's a plus. But I guess you know, let's keep this stuff coming. You know, the community does need this, black and brown. You know, we are one. Period. You know what I'm
Facts.
saying? We are one, and we are, you know, cut with the same scissors, literally. You know, there's not much of a difference between each other, and it's kind of painful sometimes to see that there's still men, right, that just basically deny themselves to actually become more than what they really are. And I guess that's you know, it goes connected kind of with the brotherhood, right? You have to recognize it within yourself first if you want to become more than what you already are, period. And that includes unlocking your own vulnerability, unlocking your mind on being susceptible or acceptable of new things to grow, period. So much love, always love, always love, always. So let's keep it, man.
Sure.
All right.
Blessings, family. My phone's about to die, but I can't wait for the 2.0 of male tears aren't weakness, male vulnerability. You know, I was definitely making sure that I played on the left side. You know what I mean? The struggle is real, but we got to make sure that we are built tough, like a rock, like a Chevy truck. You know what I mean? Always. But men do cry, and Manny will tell you that I'll be crying through all kinds of things, but
and that's okay.
And that's a beautiful thing. That is a beautiful thing. And I love you guys. I love the family bloodline. I'm here at your service at all times. And we're going to the NAM show pretty soon. So we're going to that's going to be crazy. And so I love y'all for real, from the bottom of my heart.
Y'all, for sure, need to link up with the family bloodline, because the family bloodline is going to be at the Anaheim convention in California. So y'all better buckle up, because that's gonna be be crazy. So get ready.
Absolutely. Killing it.
Okay, so before we end at an hour and a half, since we're talking about vulnerability and this is a safe space, is there anything anybody wants to share?
Yes, I do. So for all the ladies out there, and it takes some growing into for y'all, especially when it comes to us. Just remember that we're human too. We are. No aspect of humanity is lost on who we are as men. We go through emotional turmoils, turbulence, and frustration. And we always look to find safe spaces to have as an outlet. So if your man or the men in your life are willing to express that, take that as an honor. Take that as an honor, because we found a safe space, and that's what we're willing to do with you. But we're going to do a part 2 to this, because
don't tell us you got a headache.
I know, right? But we got to keep this conversation going, because it's we've got to unlearn a lot of behaviors, and we got to teach the future generations how to do and be better, especially as men.
Dirk, do you want to be vulnerable?
Do I want to be vulnerable?
Right now, this is a safe space.
Safe space.
I'm trying
I'd
to
give
create
you a
a
hug
safe
if I was there.
This time,
I have tons of hugs, Manny.
Air hugs.
Air hugs. I love hugs. I love hugs. Okay, so I guess we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up tonight. I don't think we need what got you effed up.
It's on me. It's on me.
Yeah, you didn't want to be vulnerable.
Yeah, I did say I wanted to be vulnerable. Then we did the hug. You know what I'm saying? Fellas, if you don't want to vent to your ladies, we got the barbershop.
Always.
You see what I'm saying? We got poker night. We got events where fellas can get together. You ain't got to cry if you don't want to, but get it off your chest. You know what I'm saying? One time for the one time.
As a matter of
This was
fact, since you mentioned that, sorry, there's actually a group I will share with everybody else that is mental health and barbershops, and it's something that's growing in a community, and it's actually a therapy center. It's
Mhm.
actually the barbers are becoming licensed therapists.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
oh, that's
Correct.
dope.
So,
They've been
I,
there in the community.
huh?
The barber's been there in the community.
Yeah, but
But
they
not
get licensed.
officially
But
certified.
I'm
They're
saying,
getting licensed now. So,
hey, hey,
you know,
they getting licensed on what
Therapy.
therapy.
They're being,
They're
they're becoming
becoming
counselors.
The hood barbershops.
Hopefully, we can
push it into it.
Okay, well that's what I'm saying. Go ahead, one. Love
Nothing.
y'all.
Okay, I'm glad that you guys feel like that this is a safe space. And like if anybody ever needs to talk, I'm always willing to listen. Just saying. So I guess we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. In the wise words of Russell Simmons, thank y'all for coming out. God bless you. Good night.
Oh shit, Wanda, I wasn't ready for that. Goddamn. Give me a second. I gotta get
One time.
get myself together. Hey, thank y'all for listening. Yeah, like Wanda said. And here goes the outro.